Hello everybody. Good evening. I'm so glad you came here and that you had a few moments to spare to visit the free webinar from Beetroot Academy, which will be dedicated to a tech career and especially the QA, quality assurance testers. My name is Veronica. I'm an event manager at Beetroot Academy, and I will take just a few moments of the event to remind you the organizational stuff, the structure, to answer a few popular questions, and then we'll actually give the word to Chris to actually present the topic. So let's start with the small technical questions. So could you please write in the live chat hey, hi, put pluses if you can see me, if you can hear me, if the internet connection is stable for me, just to check if the settings are all right. And while you do that, I will tell you about the structure. So basically, we'll have two parts of today's webinar. The first and the biggest one will, of course, be the topic presentation about the career in QA. Who are they? What do they actually do? What are their typical tasks? What do they do as tech specialists? And that, of course, will be on Chris. And then we'll have a separate Q&A session at the end. So if you will have any questions about either a QA career, maybe seeking for advice, anything you would like to ask from our today's speaker, please do not hesitate and don't be shy to ask. You can write them in the live chat, either during the webinar if you have a spot on question, or maybe just put a note to yourself, write it in the phone or somewhere, and then ask it at the end. So please, if you see that maybe I've missed a question during the webinar, I will come back to the live chat and check everything at the Q&A session at the end. As for the recording, of course, it will be sent to you via the email you used to register to this event, alongside with the presentation with all the useful links and maybe the topics we've discussed with all the diagrams and pictures. So if you need to come back, maybe rewatch, re-listen, that will be really possible for you. So I see that I think everything is fine with the internet connection. Again, if anything happened to the sound, to the video, to the presentation, also write it down. I hope I could fix that. And I think we'll take up to an hour of your time with this event, maybe more, maybe less, but usually it's up to an hour. On my part, I think that's it. So I will give the word to Chris, and I will also start sharing the presentation.
So just waiting for the slides to come up.
Just a second.
So I guess I'll just introduce myself meanwhile. So my name is Cristian-Catalin Miron. You can just call me Chris. That will be way easier. So I'm a QA automation engineer at Amdaris currently. I have 3 years of experience in QA, both manual and automated. I was automating functional and non-functional tests. And yeah, more on that later. You're gonna know what's the differences between them. I'm also ISTQB certified. This is the board that gives out the certifications for this type of theory. And hopefully, if you join the course, you're gonna have a chance to be certified yourself. And also, I have 2 years of experience in teaching robotics. I was teaching kids, but not adults. So that's going to be an experience for me as well at the course. So yeah, I also did my bachelor's degree in software engineering and automatics. And yeah, that definitely helped me a lot to understand how the projects take place and what's everyone's job and what's everyone's part of the project. And yeah, I guess enough about me. Also, today is my birthday, and for everyone that joined, it's a birthday present from all of you to my part. So yeah, thank you for that. The objectives, the agenda for this webinar is software product development and the role of quality assurance specialists within a project. What are our typical tasks and goals, and what a day in a life of a QA specialist looks like. And finally, how to tell if testing or quality assurance is your cup of tea. So yeah, that's more on Veronica's part.
Yeah, so I suggest that before we actually dive into the quality assurance part, let's have a small icebreaker. So I suggest everybody to think on the scale of cat. We have here like 7 options. How are you today? Let's do like a vibe check. Is our mood like aligned? So Chris, I suggest you also joining. So what do you think on this scale? Where are you? Like as for now? For me, I would say I'm cat number 2 because it's been raining pretty hard all day. And I would like actually to be the cat on the pillow with a blanket, maybe some tea or hot cocoa, and yeah, reading, watching something like that. Chris, what about you? Which cat would you like to be on this scale? Which one would you choose?
I'm guessing 6 or 7, because right now I'd like to meditate and just calm down. But also I like finding out new stuff or trying out new stuff. So the 7th one is kind of like coming as a surprise to me. So I don't know. This is how I see it. Maybe um, anyone else will see it different way.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
But yeah,
so I will just take the presentation for a moment to check out if wow, you happy birthdays in the chat. So happy birthday from a few of our
thanks a lot.
those who joined. But you haven't tell us already for the cats, so you have one more minute to think about which cat are you. But I hope anyway you are pretty relaxed and feeling good and ready to actually discover the topic. So I hope we are everybody like maybe 2 or 1 or 4 or maybe 6. You really calm down. So I think that's a good moment to actually start. So could you please tell us more about the quality assurance? What is it? What does it mean to be a quality assurance like specialist? What do they do and what does it look like?
Yeah, to better understand what's QA's or testers' role in the whole picture of software development is better if you understand. I mean, the whole picture. I mean, the whole um, everybody that's involved in doing that. I mean, that's programmers or software developers, designers, business analysts, and so on. Everyone has their own role, but the specific to QA is that it has to be involved in every step of the way, and it has to involve itself with everyone's job. So basically, to make sure that everyone is doing a good job. And yeah, hereby we have the name of quality assurance. So it includes a lot of things. For example, testing tasks, analyze requirements that other people are writing up, communicate with the team and the customer, and present their opinion on improving the product and the development process in general. So QA work is multifaceted and it's exciting. So, but before we delve in the whole world of QA, let's understand what's software quality and what it stands for. So it's quite general, as it depends on the purposes for which a program is being developed. When one goes for an MRI or a CT scan, and the last thing they want to think about is if it's going to run or not, or if it's going to give out some errors and so on. Everyone just cares about their examination results in that example. So the software quality is the degree to which the software is able to meet the specified requirements and satisfy the user needs. And what is quality assurance? It's a set of measures aimed at releasing a software product that meets those criteria and expectations. The main goal of QA is to release that high quality product for use. And as I said before, it has to be involved in all of the processes to assure that everything is going to be released with high standards and yeah, so basically it's going to be of high quality. Yeah, if you can just, yep, thank you for the new slide. Here on your screen, you can see the SDLC, which stands for Software Development Life Cycle. It has some phases. Usually, these are the ones, basically, these are mostly used in development today. Sometimes there are less, sometimes there are more of them. It depends on which methodology the team is using. More on that later. But yeah, you can see the phase, for example, planning, requirement specification, analysis and design, and so on, and their work product under them. So for planning, we have the plan. For specification, we have the specification document. For analysis and design, we have the design, and so on. So basically, this one correlates or is overridden by the testers and quality assurance engineers by having a whole another life cycle in itself. So this is the software development life cycle that in which a lot of people are included. We have developers, DevOps engineers, we have project managers, and so on. But also we have SDLC, which stands for Software Testing Lifecycle. This one, in that lifecycle, only QA guys participate, QA guys and girls. And yeah, the phases are kind of like they override each other. So for planning, we have requirement analysis or planning. Then we have requirement specification. Here we plan out the tests and develop test cases. For analysis and design, they both combine. Here we develop the test cases. Then we have, once the development is happening, or the developers do their work, they convert the specifications, all those designs into some real code. Here, we testers or QA engineers do the test environment setup, and we start executing the tests, which correlates with the integration and testing part. And the maintenance and use, whilst the product is released and released into use, and the client can partly or maybe partly or use it as a whole product, we as QA engineers, we do our test cycle closure. So we just report on everything. We give out the reports. We just archive our test artifacts. I mean, the tests that have been automated, the test cases. If something needs to be changed, we work on that, and so on. I guess you get the idea that QA engineers need to participate in from the start of the life cycle till the end, and they have whole new role on themselves, if you can call them that. But yeah, I guess you get the idea. So if you can just, yep. So let's see what processes happen in software development and where testing comes in. So I'll give you an example. There is a team that develops apple.com websites, and it consists of programmers, designers, testers, and so on. In September of every year, they demonstrate or they present their new product, which is going to go on a sale like in 3 or 4 weeks. But a few months before the release date, the website development team is tasked with adding all the new products and checking that everything is working, both developers and testers. So how that's going to work, or how's that going to happen? Designers design or think about how the products will be displayed, how they will look on the pages, and describe and create those requirement specifications or plans on how everything's going to look. Developers, by having those plans and specifications, they will implement it in code, and yeah, just submit it for review for another software developers, for another. I mean, it depends on what the team consists of. So it might be a lot of just a lot of developers. It can be some development leads and project managers and so on. So they act on those requirements. They implement them, and if something doesn't work correctly, this is our job as QA engineers or testers. We just check if everything works correctly, open up bugs or bug reports on that. And yeah, developers receive those. It can act as a feedback for them. They just receive that and act upon it, modify those elements, or change the implementation so that everything is intact and in line with the requirements. I mean, what the clients are asking for. So the team might repeat this process several times, which is called iterative approach or methodology. As I was saying before, there are a few methodologies that teams might use. The most used ones is waterfall. So if you imagine a waterfall, and every process is something that is falling down. So for example, we have the planning, we have the design, requirement specifications, implementing, testing, and releasing. So everything just falls down, and it usually takes 1 year or up to 2 years. It depends on the size of the project. So every step or every phase is planned out beforehand very heavily, and it's done once. But we also have, I mean, the same phases can be used in iterations. So for example, we have iterations of 2 or 4 weeks when we just received the feedback or something that the client is asking for. We do the plan, then we do the requirement specifications, implement that, test it, release, and so on. So everything is in a cycle, hereby the iterations. That is called the Scrum approach or the Agile approach. Most of them are identical in its core. So yeah, more on that in the actual course. But this is just to give you a glance of what's happening behind those curtains of software development. So yeah, and also I called out the software development lifecycle in those methodologies, but also the software testing lifecycle happens in parallel. So everything that I've said before, those phases of planning out the tests, writing them down, developing test cases, executing them, maybe automating some stuff, and closing up everything, reporting on everything, that is also happening in parallel in both of those methodologies. So if we were to resume or reiterate everything in a shorter way, the main tasks and goals of testing or quality assurance is to help create high quality product, analyze, provide information on the product's condition and compliance with requirements on every step of the way. We have that. So once the plan is out, we have to go through it, and if something if something stands out or something confuses maybe the user, maybe the developers themselves, we need to raise that as issues as well. And yeah, on every step of the way, we should provide and make sure everything is done correctly. We should determine if the product is ready for release. We basically act as a green light or a red light for releasing features, or maybe a whole pack of them. We call that versions. And yeah, we basically act as a gate. We allow it to be released or not, if it needs to go back into reviewing and development. We also make sure to reduce the risks of financial and non-financial losses that can be related to reputational risks as well. But yeah, talking about financial losses, as soon as we find the bugs and issues, I mean, if we find them as early as possible, they are going to be way cheaper to fix. So if we find them later on in the process, it's going to be harder because everything's related, everything is entangled, if you can call them that. And yeah, to fix something, to change something, it's going to take more time and more effort from the team, whereby a lot of more money is going to be lost. And if some bugs or issues are released into production, that's going to risk reputational risks for the company itself. And also we have to localize critical errors and make sure they are corrected. We found a lot of errors and issues. Not every one of them are worth fixing. So, for example, if something that has a high risk of happening or has a high impact of happening, I mean, on impact, if it happens, it has a lot of impact on the application. So, for example, a scenario breaks the whole application and it goes down for 5 minutes. That's a serious issue. That's going to need not a new version to be fixed, but it's going to be it's going to require a hot fix to be fixed. So yeah, we also act upon the what do you call that? So basically, not all bugs have the same importance. So yeah, some of them need to be fixed sooner. Some of them can be left for another versions, or maybe just left out entirely. So yeah, next on the next slide, we have a question. If you were to think of software products that you use, of maybe not only software products, but hardware products, anything that you use, because quality assurance teams are included in everything, not only in software stuff. What would you say are high quality products, and which of them are low quality? Give out some examples. And as I'm not seeing the chat, I'll ask Veronica to help me out with that.
Sure. So while we're waiting for response, maybe an example of high quality and low quality products. So maybe before we check the responses, you could give, let's say, an example, or maybe you have a really story about a really bad quality product you like came upon. Let's say like in the last month, maybe, for example.
That's a good question. I'm more skeptical on that. That's why I'm before buying something, I'm watching a lot of reviews and I'm trying to filter out low quality products. But I can think of some products that I know of, but I wouldn't buy. So for example, not to start any feud or comparisons or arguments. An example of a high quality product, I would say, is an iPhone, for example, because they take 1 year to release new versions, and yeah, they just put a lot of work into that, but some low quality. I wouldn't say necessarily it's very bad, but it's of a low quality because they put way less effort and time into that. Is, for example, like some cheap Xiaomi phones, or for example, not that I'm against them, but yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind. And meanwhile, has anyone responded with some examples?
No, for now, no. Maybe it's a kind of a tricky question or just the guys being shy. So yeah, I encourage you to write in a live chat, but if you do not want, that's also okay. So we have one of the examples. It's more about the technology. And you're saying, if I'm understanding correctly, that the QA engineers are those who seal the quality of a product because they actually the one who test it. Am I right?
Yep. So the example that given before is the green light of something being ready for release, or being ready to be put into production. So yeah, if it's the case of technology or phones, as I said, it's releasing them into the market and just yeah, um, if it's gonna be ready for being bought by customers. That's the definition of ready for release in that case. Yeah, so I guess no new ideas. That's bad, but yeah, maybe it's a tricky question, and or maybe you don't want to offend any product or any service. I get that, but yeah, let's continue. The typical tasks and goals of a QA engineer, we have to verify the product requirements. So as I said before, we have to act upon everything from the start of the life cycle till the end. So when we have the product requirements, we have to verify them and act upon them if something is if it has some errors or maybe some typos and so on. We plan and execute product testing. That's later in the process. We file bug reports and confirm bug fixes. So, for example, when something goes wrong, it doesn't matter if it's related to the specifications or the implementation, I mean, the code itself or the product, we find the issues, file them as bug reports. We call errors as bugs because that's something you wouldn't want to see. And yeah, afterwards, after the bug has been fixed, we should confirm that that has been fixed, and that's the case, and it can be set as done. And we confirm basically that it now is according to the requirements, because it wasn't before. We found that bug, it has been fixed. We confirm that everything's all right. We assess the risks. So if we know that something is higher priority than other features, we should focus more on those features, cover them more with more tests, and make sure that anything doesn't slip up or slip in as in bugs or issues. That's why it's called risk assessment. From the beginning of the project till the end, we have to just see the critical areas that need to be they basically require more focus. So after the product testing, we analyze the results. That that's a part of the test cycle closure phase. We just analyze the results, make some reports, and act upon them if needed, or maybe just pass them on back to the project managers and the people that whose responsibility is to find the requirements, talk with clients, and so on. And also, our goal is to improve product quality and make customers and users happy, and also make sure that everything is according to the requirements and that anything doesn't go over the what's legally allowed or what's ethically allowed, and so on. But yeah, more on that in the testing theory. So yeah, more on the what happens in a day of a tester or a QA engineer. Yeah. So let's imagine that you start working in testing or as a QA specialist. First of all, testing is a team effort, so you don't do everything by yourself. So yeah, our common goal is to make the customer happy, to make a product that is according to the requirements and the expectations of the clients. So that's why we start up every day, every working day, with a small team call that we call a stand-up. It's called stand-up because before, I mean, like maybe 30 years before that, the team was gathering at a round table, and the person that was speaking is standing up and sitting back down if he finished. So that's basically the case in here as well, because most of us are remote teams. We just go as a roundabout. We just go through everyone, and they tell their current status on their tasks and so on, if they have any blockers and how that can be fixed. Maybe someone knows, maybe that can be taken offline and discussed upon later on, or maybe in more depth. And yeah, basically they tell what they are working on, what blockers there are, and their plan for the day. Maybe something is already taken, and two of the members working on the same issue, it's going to be redundant, and there's going to be time lost and effort lost in that. That's why we just synchronize between ourselves, and yeah, we know how to make the most of our time spent in the day. I mean, the most of our effort for that day. So an example, a developer says she's working on a task to add a new button to the website, but is blocked because the designer still needs to prepare the appropriate layout of the page. If the designer replies that he's waiting for the client to confirm the layout, he is blocked by another thing, the developer switches to another task. So if someone is blocked by another person, they decide on what's the best outcome for everyone so that they are not blocked and the time is not wasted. And yeah, usually we have the cycles that happen once 2 weeks or once a month. And that's why we need for everyone to at least push something or release something so that there are no complaints from the client. So for example, if someone is blocked and he cannot do anything for 2 weeks, and yeah, from client's eyes, that's looking like he's doing nothing. That's why we need those calls and those syncs to see that everyone is working on something, that everyone is going to deliver at least something. So yeah, that's why these daily calls are important. And we also have more like more calls looking like that. That's more of a Scrum theory. But yeah, more on that in the course itself. So that's something that happens with all the engineers. In my experience, yeah, that's I was working at 3 companies. I mean, Amdaris is my third one, and in every one of that places, I was having morning calls. We usually have those in the morning, so that we know if there are any blockers, and we just share our plans for the day. Usually, this meeting takes up to 15 minutes. Sometimes it might take an hour, but that depends on the how well the manager can structure those, because those should not take more than 15 minutes. If something is blocking someone or someone needs help, that should be taken offline if it cannot be fixed in 2 or 3 minutes. So yeah, usually I have, or right now I have this daily call, and then I have daily call with the testers because I'm included in the Scrum team, or a team that has a few engineers in every aspect. We have software developers, we have DevOps engineers, and we have project managers. Everyone is doing their job. And also we have the testing team, where I am taking part as well. So I'm covering the Scrum part. So developers are implementing something. I'm acting as a gateway or a green light for them that everything is fine and it can be pushed forward. And also I'm a part of the testing team where we do automation stuff and we decide upon what stuff should be automated and what needs to be automated first and so on. So we have those calls just to see what everyone is working on and yeah, make the best of our time and our effort. And yeah, some examples of how testers' daily schedules look like. You can find those in the free course on our website. Yeah, more on that in the end of this webinar. Yeah, we can proceed to the next slide. How to tell if QA is your cup of tea, and you might enjoy the time spent on this type of job. So we should do a small self-evaluation and need to firstly debunk some myths. First of all, you should not fear the unknown words in the job requirements or job specifications, such words as SQL, API, or Git. Yeah, there are a lot of buzzwords like that. These are just technical skills that, yeah, you might need those to do a good job, but those can be taught, I mean, just by spending 2 or 3 hours a day, besides the learning that you do in the course. But yeah, those technical tasks or technical requirements can be can gather those in the meantime, but the most important stuff for a tester or a QA engineer is the soft skills. For example, attentiveness and thoroughness when gathering the requirements or going through everything that is anyone's besides you when looking at their work. You should be attentive and be skeptical that everything you should have the mentality that everything should have some errors, even if it looks like it doesn't. You should look for those and just question everything yourself, or maybe raise if something doesn't look right to you. So yeah, if it looks correctly, you should recheck it just to make sure, because on the first go through, you might not see something that you'll understand later on. So yeah, it's better to be skeptical of everything and check everything, check every document, check every plan, check everyone's assumptions, and so on. The second one is willingness to do the same task for a long time, because QA manual job is quite repetitive. We have the same tests. We have to execute those on every cycle, as I was saying before, every 2 or 4 weeks. We have to, for example, do the regression testing. So just to see with every new added feature, if anything regressed or the opposite of progressed. So yeah, that happens a lot. The same tasks and the same tests are executed. So it can become boring and it can become dull. That's why I need to withstand that. Sometimes it happens. That's why automated testing came to light. That's why yeah, you might need or might want to automate some part of those test cases just to make your life easier and get rid of the human factor. Because when executing the tests, you might become bored, or maybe you don't have enough time to do the whole pack. That's why you're gonna go through them very lightly or in a fast manner. That's why you can miss something, and yeah, hereby the human factor. Automated tests tend to miss out on those. They tend to be more fixed, and yeah, human error prone. That's how I'm gonna call them. And yeah, the next one, the next soft skill is ability to analyze information, the ability to see how everyone might think, and yeah, just to see how everyone might think and how they might see the thing that you are talking about. So for example, the project manager or the business analyst written up some specifications. It's not clear for you at first, but it's very clear for them. So that's why you have to study people and see how they might think and how to approach them. If, for example, you don't understand something, you should know how to approach them and ask for that information. Speaking about how to approach people, when you raise bugs, that's kind of throwing a rock in someone's garden, to be more precise, in developer's garden. That's the case almost every time, because we raise bugs on implementation. Yeah, the ability to tell what's wrong and not to abstract yourself from telling that this is their error, and maybe telling it as a, I don't know, a mistake that is on everyone's part. And yeah, just do not throw rocks in anyone's garden. And yeah, the team is gonna work in a fast manner. Also, you should be curious. For example, we have the setup tests, the planned out tests, but also we have exploratory testing. So for example, if we don't have a plan, or maybe we already got through the plan, you might want to do some exploratory testing just to, I don't know, see if you might think of a scenario that hasn't been thought of before, or just to see the happy paths, maybe some negative paths of the application. Just see those scenarios that might break, because there are there always are some people that try to destroy everything. Just they enjoy watching things burn. That's why you should not exclude those. You should look for those scenarios yourself. That's why you should be able to put yourself in those shoes. So, for example, imagine that you want to break something, or maybe you want to make someone's day worse, and that's why you enter the application and look for scenarios just to break it. And yeah, believe me, there are this type of people. Someone is doing that for their own enjoyment. Someone is doing that to get money, or maybe, I don't know, blackmail someone. There are a lot of people, and yeah, you cannot know everyone's intention with the application. So next one on the list is ability to find answers to questions on your own. So in theory, we have the plans, we have the requirement specifications, but in actuality, those are almost never implemented. It's a best case scenario if those are present and if those are maintained. Usually, you're just on your own with the implementation. You don't have any documentation. That's what happens in most teams. And you have to find answers on how everything should behave, on how everything should look on your own. That's why sometimes it's hard, but with if you push some of the procedures forward, it might happen, and those plans and specifications can come up to light. That's happening on my current project. There is minimal documentation, and a lot of tests should be just questioned from project managers, and yeah, those people that talk with the client and they know what the client wants. And yeah, it's not gonna be ideal and as written up in the theory. So one of the soft skills that needs to be possessed by you is knowledge of English. Well, in every job nowadays, it's the at least basic English should be in your skill set, because all the communication, it doesn't matter which country are you from, or which language the client is speaking. The basic language that is used for communication is English, and yeah, I mean, that's self-explanatory. So as I've mentioned, all these soft skills are basic and are required for every QA engineer. Those technical skills can be acquired in the meantime, but these ones should be more focused on. You should focus more of your time and effort into those, because technical skills are going to be acquired, and yeah, every day you will find something new. The technologies and the whole industry changes every year. So yeah, you should not fixate yourself on some technical skills. You should be able to learn something new in the meantime. So yeah. And next we're gonna have some self-paced online course, and more on that from Veronica.
Yeah, thank you. So we've discussed, I think, a lot about maybe what type of character should you have to become like a good quality assurance specialist. Maybe about some typical tasks and how would your day would look like. But still, the question is there. So is this the right fit for you? And I think it's so unjust that we pose this question without even giving you an opportunity to try it for yourself, because I really like the saying, if it's your cup of tea, but how can you say if it's your cup of tea if you just haven't even tried it? So that's why at the Academy, we developed a free self-paced course, which will give you an opportunity to try 5 different directions in tech, including QA. So if you just click on the link that will be in the presentation, you will go directly to that page, or you can visit the beetrootacademy.com, and it will be in the courses career introduction. And it's really easy to join. As you can see, as for the QA manual, you will additionally have like design and front end and Python. So you can try a lot of different professions to really determine which one you will like the most. And so the registration process is like very simple. So it's your name, it's your email, it's your like phone number, and then you can just click to go to the first lesson. And you will be redirected to the introduction part. But of course, the most interesting is to choose a course you would like to. And in addition to a theoretical part, again, like what is QA manual? What would you do? What's your like part in the production of a website, for example? You will have practical tasks. That means you will actually try, for example, to find bugs in a test website and file a bug report. But please do not worry if it's something completely new for you, because as for the text instructions, we also prepared a detailed step-by-step video guides from our teachers. That being said, you will have a detailed way to check if you've done it right, to maybe see some tips and tricks. And by trying that, actually, you will be able to determine, is QA for you? Are you really a patient person who will look for any kind of bugs and details, or it's just not something you would like to try, which is, again, totally fine. At the Academy, we would like you to make an informed decision about your career, because it's a pretty big part of our lives, and it's something you should really have a lot of information to determine. So that's as for the IT course. We really recommend you trying it. But also, I would say that a great way to get acquainted with the profession is to read a few of our success stories. Basically, those are our stories from our graduates, not only from the QA course, but from the others. And those are people who also, before the tech sphere, were, I don't know, for example, like the driver or the shop assistant, and one day they decided to change their career to a tech, and maybe they chose a QA, maybe they chose front end, maybe they chose design. They share their experience of choosing a field and studying, and also, which is really important, searching for a job. Because at the Academy, the great quality of the course is not only to help you master the profession, but also give you actually a job. And what we do to help you with that. So the Beetroot Academy is accredited by Almega. It's a European organization that acknowledges the educational providers. That means that we meet the Swedish standards for educational of the adults, which is really important. We differ from a lot of schools because we offer you not pre-recorded lectures, but you will study in a small group up to 15, maybe 18 people with a real teacher, like, for example, Chris. The fact that we forgot to mention that he is the teacher of the upcoming group on the QA, so he will be the one who will help you, who will share his experience and tips and tricks on the field. But you will have live classes with the teacher, which will give you additional motivation. You will have classmates, people that change the career like you, so you can help and support each other. Each group will have also a group coordinator, and that is the person who will help you regarding all the technical and organizational issues. So you will have a huge support from not only your teacher, but from like a group manager, let's say. And in addition to a general course that, of course, will tell you everything about like QA and instruments and how do you actually check something to make sure it's really a quality product, we give you a separate module on career counseling. Because again, after graduating from the course, you have to find a job. That will be the best result, the top result you're aiming to. And to help with that, you will have a separate lesson with a professional recruiter who will help you craft your CV and cover letter, and also to complete a LinkedIn profile. And we'll share tips and tricks on finding vacancies and job offers, and how you can pass an interview when you are like only starting out and the tech field is completely new for you. So we'll get that covered. And of course, you will have the community to help and support you. And the quality of the program is also on top, because it's crafted by senior professionals with 5+ years of the experience. And I think that's really great to know that what are you learning, what are you going to learn, participate in, is certified by an European organization. By the way, there was a question about a certificate. Yes, you will get a certificate at the end of the course. And as we are accredited by Almega, this certificate really values a lot. It's not just a blank document, you know. And as for the course, of course, you will have the extended program, and you will learn everything you need to become a trainee or a junior QA tester, and actually to find a job again as a junior position at any company you would like to join to. As for the main part, I think that's it. And also, I think that's a great time to come to the Q&A session. So basically, you have now the time and opportunity to ask Chris about anything you would like to know about his job experience, about his QA experience. Maybe you would like to learn something more about the tasks of a QA manual to make sure it's the right step for you. So please write those in the live chat. We would like to answer them. I have a small question, for example, from myself. So you said that you need patience, yes, to work as a QA professional. What really motivates you to continue doing this job?
Well, it depends on the type of person you are. I myself am a perfectionist, if I can call myself that. And yeah, this perfectionism drives me to complete everything, to make sure that every test is written correctly. It has the right steps, the right expected result. And yeah, just to make sure that everything is completed. And also expect that from the application itself, or maybe the documentation. But as I was saying, that part is lacking in my current project. But yeah, it happens. Yeah, if you like everything to be perfect, yeah, that's the ideal job for you. That's what's happening in my case.
Okay, thank you. We have a kind of technical question. Which OS is better for QA studies? I'm currently a holder of a MacBook, and I'm thinking of getting Windows as an additional device. Do you think this might be reasonable for QA or not?
It's reasonable, but it's not mandatory. I mean, a MacBook is well enough suited for doing test work and also doing the automation stuff. Every tool, every language, I mean, programming language that you can use for automating is also working on Mac. Well, it might depend on the tech stack of the application on your project. So for example, if it's more of Microsoft stuff used, for example, their CI/CD or their code bases and so on, a Microsoft, I mean, a Windows laptop would fit better. But in most cases, a Mac is well enough for your self-study, for even working on a project, because I use my personal Mac for the project itself. I have a Mac from the company, but I tend not to use that one because it's less capable, in short. And yeah, a Mac is well enough for that.
We will wait for maybe a few more questions if there are any. And to end on a really happy note, let's consider it also a small present. We would like to make your education, if you choose QA, even more accessible to you. So we offer you a special bonus for visiting the webinar, for joining us, which, by the way, thank you so much for finding some time for that. We also share with you a small code that will give you either 15% discount on the entire price of the QA course or 10% off each installment payment. That being said, you can use it when applying for the course at the Beetroot Academy for the QA specifically. But we do not think that you should do it like right now. You can try the intro course, which is free to try not only QA, but maybe some other professions. And if you decide to join the academy, once more, I remind you that Chris will be your teacher, and he will be the one who will guide you in the QA world to help you actually become a junior professional in the field, confident in their knowledge and skills to actually seal the deal with the job. For now, I don't see any questions. Well, if there will be any concerning the course or maybe the QA field, you can also book a free consultation at the Beetroot Academy website with our educational advisors who will be gladly to help you and ready to help with any kind of questions regarding the course, the academy, the classes, the program, etc. I really hope that this event was helpful and interesting. I hope you were able to determine if the QA is actually for you. That will be the best part. And a separate thank you for you, Chris, for sharing these valuable tips and tricks and information. Thank you for great presentation. And I wish you all a really good and good evening and to spend a great time. We're approaching the weekend, fortunately. So yeah, thank you so much for your time and patience. And I hope you to see on other free events from the Beetroot Academy. Bye-bye.
See you, everyone.